So we give praise and glory and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach, our Master and Savior. And we look at the 5th chapter of John and the 39th verse, and it says this: Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. So the first thing we're going to look at is Ecclesiastes 11 and 9. Ecclesiastes 11 and 9. Matter of fact, make it 6, because it's something extra in there. I'll work that in. 11 and 6. Yeah, praise Yah for Yahushua. Ecclesiastes 11 and 6. Ecclesiastes 11 and 6. And it says, In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thy hand, for thou know not whether shall prosper, either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. Truly the light is sweet, and a pleasant thing it is for the eyes to behold the sun. But if a man live many years and rejoice in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that come is vanity. Rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth. And walk in the ways of thine heart and in the sight of thine eyes. But know thou that for all these things Elohim will bring thee into judgment. Therefore remove sorrow from thy heart and put away evil from thy flesh, for childhood and youth are vanity. So this is a couple things that he just sat back and he just told you here. One of the key things, we'll get to verses 6, 7, and 8. But when you look in verse 9, he told you to rejoice or be happy in your youth and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. But then he told you, because when you were young, look what he told you. You walked in the ways of your heart. You did what you wanted to do. And in the sight of thine eyes, what seemed right to you, you did it. See, hold this and get Proverbs 14 and 12. He say, but for all these things, you better remember that the Most High going to bring you into judgment. So let's look at Proverbs 14 and 12. Since he say you walked in your heart and in the sight of your eyes. In Proverbs 14 and 12. And it says, there is a way that seemed right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. See, I want you to come back, you sit back and look at it. See, when you walking in your own heart, see, in Proverbs it say if a man trusts in his own heart, he's a fool. See, when you young and you immature, you'll do what seems right to you. And you'll go based off what your eyes see. You know what I'm saying? See, matter of fact, since I said that, get 1 John 2 and 15. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to work, Most High willing, we're going to work all this in. Because see, this stuff going to take us back to the beginning. And it's going to take us back to the genesis of Yasharal as a people. But look at something in 1 John 2 and 15. 1 John 2 and 15. I'm working 1 John 2 and 15 a little earlier than I had in mind, but hallelujah nonetheless. First John 2 and 15. And it says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes. Because remember, he say, you went by your own eyes. And the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world pass away in the lust thereof, but he that do the will of Elohim abide forever. See, when you young and you sit back and you look at that, now when we talking about young, we talking about being immature minded, not necessarily age. You know what I'm saying? Because it has to come a point in time when spiritually, when you no longer think like a child. You know what I'm saying? See, in Hebrews chapter 5, he say if any man, when he's referring to teachers though, he said anytime that you become teachers, that you ought to go back to the first principles of the oracles of Elohim. He said you are a babe and unskillful in the word of righteousness. He said he that is of full age eat of strong meat, because he can discern between good and evil by reason of having his senses exercised. See, you turn around and look at it. Somebody who is spiritually immature, they can't discern from their right hand to the left. They can't tell what's just and what's unjust, what's Kadesh and what's unkadesh, what's of Yahuwah, what's not of Yahuwah, what's unrighteous, what's not unrighteous, what's clean, what's not unclean. They have no idea what they're doing. You sit back and you look at it, right? Even as you sit back and you look at these babies that sit in their room, there's a period of time where they grow and they mature, and there's certain things that they know right from wrong. Even at the small age that they are right now, they know right from wrong. You know what I'm talking about? But when you sit back as you look at it as forth as being a babe in the word, there come a time where you on that breast milk. Then when you weaned off the breast and drawn from the milk, you supposed to be a full age. You supposed to be able to know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? You had to sit back and look at it. How could you sit back and be in the word over a period of time and still be in the days of your youth, going by what your heart say do, what your mind say do, and by the side of your eyes? So when you look at that, you going by the pride of your life or the desire of your own heart and by the lust of your flesh and what you see in the lust of the eye, you still are in your youth. Then you got to remember, Elohim going to bring every work into judgment. So let's turn around and let's look at that in Genesis chapter 3. We're going to work it a little different. Three and 1. You still hold Ecclesiastes chapter 11. They say, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. The woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of fruit of the trees of the garden. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim hath said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. For Elohim know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eye, see, they go that lust of the eyes in her youth, that immaturity. And a tree to be desired to make one wise, and they go that pride of life, going after the ways of your own heart. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Now he done brought you into judgment, because he told him clear as day, the minute you eat from this tree, you shall surely die. You will surely die the minute you do it. Now you had to sit back and look at it. You can sit back and you can walk it. When we turn around and we look at it when we were young, when we were walking in you come back to Ecclesiastes chapter 11, when we were walking in the ways of our heart. This man surely brought this stuff into judgment. Because we sitting back looking at it, we walking in it seemed right to us, but then when we turn around, we look back when we were younger, the end of it was death. So let's look at that verse 9 again. When he told you to rejoice and let your heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth and walk in the ways in thy heart and the sight of thy eyes. But know for all these things now. Just know from them. Elohim gonna bring you into judgment. So now you see what he tell you? He tell you remove sorrow from your heart and put away evil from your flesh. For childhood and youth are vanity. So now we need to turn around and look at this. Why would he sit back and he tell you to put away sorrow from your heart? Well, let's look at something with Mashiach. Let's look at something with Mashiach over here in Matthew chapter 16 real fast. When you turn around, you look at it in the days of your... Matter of fact, before we even look at Mashiach, let's go back and look at who it's really referring to. And let's go back and look at Genesis chapter 2. Let's look at that first. Then we go look at Matthew 16. Then we'll turn around and go look in Matthew 26. And then we'll turn around and go look at a couple other things. Because he say remove sorrow from your heart and put evil away from your flesh, because childhood and youth are vanity. Two and 6. Two and 5. Well, 2 and 4. Let's sit back and make it a whole complete sentence. Bereshit of Genesis 2 and 4. Let's make it a whole complete sentence. These are the generations of Shamahim and of Arats when they were created, in the day that Yahuwah Elohim made the Arats and the Shamahim. Every plant of the field before it was in the Arats, and every herb of the field before it grew. For Yahuwah Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the Arats, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the Arats and watered the whole face of the ground. Yahuwah Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. This is the day of his youth. Now the days of his youth, he sat back and he told this man, don't eat, you can eat from any tree out here, but if you eat of this one here, you're going to die. Now he turned around and he eat from this tree. You know what I'm saying? Now he going to sit back. Now look what he tell him in Genesis chapter 3 what's going to happen to him. Genesis 3 and 17. Genesis 3 and 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. Keep that in mind about that herb of the field, because we just looked at something about that in Ecclesiastes 11 and 6. Somehow, some way, Yahuwah willing, take it all, mix it all together, make a complete dish. In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it thou was taken, for dust thou art, and dust thou shalt return. Now I'm going to sit back and I'm going to look at this here, because I seen a brother talking about this here, man. Matter of fact, that was Brother Otis sent me this right here. You know, we done looked at the virgin birth from the concept of seeing it with Adam. Well, this brother went ahead and he went at it in a different fashion. Well, we know also that Mashiach was born of a virgin. I think we done looked at it before, if I'm not certain. There's something telling me in my head that we have. I just like the way the brother put it. So we'll rehash that as well. But you notice that he said he would eat, that in sorrow, he would eat of the ground. So when you turn around and where we've been talking about, they say Mashiach was a man of sorrows. But then he turned around and he said, man, put sorrow away from your heart. Now, keep this in mind. Now, he say, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. So when we look at Matthew 26, look what it say. 26, if it's even in the book. Do I got to switch books? Do I got to switch books? I got to switch books. I got to use the app. Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. Matthew 26. And about 23. 26 and 26. So keep an account, though. You just ate you some bread. You know what I mean? And you just drunk you some wine. So let's see about that. And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. Now he just said that in sorrow you would eat from the ground, because dust you were taken from and dust you shall return. So when you turn around and you sit back and you look at Mashiach, turning around eating this body as if he's eating dust, because he said, I was shapen by my mother in iniquity. You know what I'm saying? Coming from the dust. And he said, you'll eat this in sorrow. Well, we know Mashiach turned around and said he was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Because he's sitting back looking at that dust he was, and dust he was going to return, because he was going to enter in the grave. Did the paraphrase what the brother was saying to sit back and show you the virgin birth in a twofold status. We sit back and look at Mary's womb was representative of also the sepulcher, because Yahushua was placed in a sepulcher of which no man had ever been laid. You know what I'm saying? Same way where Mary's womb was a place where no man had ever touched. You know what I'm talking about? So then you turn around and you look at what impregnated Mary. It was the Ruach HaKodesh. What inseminated that sepulcher to raise Yahushua to be the son of Elohim? Just like Adam, it was the Ruach HaKodesh. So you see in the framework, which we already know this here, dealing with Adam. Adam was taken from the dust of the ground, which no man had tilled. Ruach HaKodesh rose him up out of it. So this is why he turned around to tell you to put sorrow away from your heart. Because you sit back and you look at Adam got to eat from the dust of the ground because of the days of his youth, because he went according to the desires of his heart and the lust of his eyes. Elohim brought him into judgment. So then he tell him, you in all your days you're going to eat sorrow. Then he turn around and tell him, put sorrow away from your heart and put away evil from your flesh. So when we look at this here, when you transitioning from the days of your youth and you maturing, then the two things you're going to have to realize is I'm going to have to put sorrow away from my heart, and I'm going to have to put evil away from my flesh. How do we turn around and put evil away from our flesh? Let's look at 1 Peter 4:1 for that. Then get Luke 9:23. 1 Peter 4:1. Lizzie. No. Absolutely not. Go sit down. For as much then as Mashiach have suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind, for he that suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin. Now when you sit back and you look at it, Mashiach was about to suffer in the flesh. This is why he was exceedingly sorrowful. He said, I desire to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. See, when you turn around as you looking at it is when you're going through the sufferings, you're going to be sorrowful. Matter of fact, hold in 1 Peter 4 before we look at Luke 9. I just want you to look at 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Now I'm gonna tell you something, man. I know sometimes, boy, it can be really, really hard to deal with people when they dealing with some issues. But just look at what the man tell you to do. This is why he took his apostles up there to mourn with him. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, about verse 24. Make it 23. Make it 22. 1 Corinthians 12 and 22. He say, nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary. So it say the people of the body that are weaker, they're needed. And those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor, and our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness. For our comely parts have no need, but Elohim have tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to the part which lacked, that there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another. And whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it. So when we turn around and you look at it is, if Mashiach suffered and we members of his own body, members of his body, then we all gonna suffer with him. See, when you look in Ephesians chapter 5, and you don't got to go get it. But when you look at Ephesians 5 and about verse 20, about verse 30, it say, for we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. So if we turn around and we look at, we are members of his body and his flesh and of his bones, that means Mashiach look at, if one member of his body suffer, one member of the body suffer, he gonna suffer with it. So we had to turn around and look at it. If one member of the body suffered, then we would suffer with it. Because that's how Mashiach rolled. He said, all the members suffer with it. If one member be honored, all members rejoice with it. Now you are the body of Mashiach and members in particular. So come on back to 1 Peter chapter 4. He said, I'm going to read it again. He said, for as much then as Mashiach has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. See, if he suffered himself in the flesh, this is putting evil away from his flesh. Because childhood and youth are vanity. That childhood and youth for Adam was worthless. There was no fruit that was gained from that. There was no fruit that was gained from that. You get along with that Luke chapter 9, about 23 that you're holding. Get your Romans 5, about verse 12, go along with it. He say, he that likewise with the same mind, he that have suffered in the flesh have ceased from sin. See, when you begin to mature and you don't put this sorrow away from your heart and this evil away from your flesh, then you will no longer walk in the lust of your youth. You will no longer walk in the ways of your heart and in the lusts of your eyes as you did when you were young. That's not what you're going to do. You're going to think as a mature individual. You know what I'm saying? When you sit back and you look like that you're in an immature state, it can seem like when somebody's trying to push you out of that immature state that they're being condescending to you or treating you as if you are beneath them or as if you are a child when they're just trying to shape you and mold you into what you ought to be. See, we're going to look at this when we go look in the law when we were in our youth coming up out of Egypt. We were just like little kids. Are we there yet? How long is it going to take? I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. Always complaining like a child. You know what I'm saying? Doing the things that children do. And you know the thing with children are impatient. You know what I'm talking about? So because the children, see, talking about looking at Yasharal coming up out of Mizraim, they were not patient enough to wait on Yahuwah to receive these things. Somebody with a mature mind, they can wait on the things that they want. And they'll work for the things that they want. An immature mind will not work for the things that they want, nor are they patient to get the things that they want. Children want everything to come easy. You know what I'm saying? They want everything easy. That's how children roll. He said that he should no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lusts of men, but to the will of Elohim. So, That's the key thing we have to look at. So let's look at Luke 9 and 23 before we swing around there to this Romans 5 and 12. Luke 9 and 23. Make it 9 and 18. And it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him. And he asked them, saying, Whom say the people that I am? They answering said, Yachanan the Mercer. But some say Elijah, and others say that one of the old prophets is risen again. He said unto them, But whom say ye that I am? Peter answering, the Mashiach of Elohim. And he straitly charged them and commanded them to tell no man that thing, saying, The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be slain, and be raised the third day. Now, the Son is coming to my mind. Go over here and look at Genesis chapter 1 and about verse 10, and let's see something about that third day. Something that came to my mind. Make it 9. 1 and 9. Genesis 1 and 9. And Elohim said, Let the waters under the Shamahim be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. Elohim called the dry land Arats, and gathering together the waters he called seas. And Elohim saw that it was good. Listen what he said. And Elohim said, Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself, upon their rats. And it was so. And the rats brought forth grass, and the herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit whose seed was in itself, and after this his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the third day. So, beloved, what do you think about when you see that right there? He say on this third day, something appeared. And that Genesis chapter 1, he say on that third day, something appeared. What appeared on this third day? Hey, what was that I was looking at earlier? You don't see what I'm talking about?
Well, I mean, we know this guy's so good. Mashiach.
I mean, that's a given, but you can you see what I'm talking about?
I mean, and you got to come out the resurrection because it was good that he appeared on the third day, right?
Yeah. Come over here to Joel chapter 1. Joel chapter 1. Joel chapter 1. That's what I had to remember what that was I was looking at. Now remember now, he say you got the grass bring forth the fruit yielding tree, herb yielding tree, whose seed is after his own kind. Remember now, Mashiach say it says Mashiach is the word of Elohim. He said except the see you sit back and look at it, right? He said the good seed fall in the good ground of those who hear the word and obey it, and they bring forth fruit. When you turn it around and you looking at that tree, it's bringing forth fruit because the seed is in itself, and it was on the third day. Because Mashiach say, I got to be rejected of the chief priests and scribes and be resurrected on the third day. You sitting back, you looking on the third day, and you see this man. See, the next thing with the stars and all that there, that's confirming the covenant in the middle of the week. But then you turn around and you sit back and you look at on the third day with this tree coming up out of the ground, you seeing this man being resurrected on the third day, just like the law say, just like the man told you. But hold on, it's something in Joel. Let me see what verse I want to start at. Is it 1 and 1? 1 and 3. Let's start 1 and 1. It don't make no difference. Joel 1 and 1. The word of Yahuwah that came to Joel, the son of Pethu. Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all you inhabitants of the land. Have this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Tell your children of it, and let your children tell their children and their children another generation. Say, tell your children about it, and let their children tell another generation. That which the palmer worm have left, the locust eaten, and that which the locust have left, the cankerworm eaten, and that which the cankerworm have left, the caterpillars eaten. Awake ye drunkards, and weep and howl, all ye drinkers of wine, because of the new wine, for it is cut off from your mouth. He say, do this because of the new wine. For a nation is come upon my land strong and without number, whose teeth are the teeth of a lion, and he have cheek teeth of a great lion. He have laid my vine waste, and bought my fig tree. He have made it clean bare, and cast it away. The branches thereof are made white. Listen what he say. Lament like a virgin girded with sackcloth for the husband of her youth. The meat offering and the drink offering is cut off from the house of Yahuwah. The priests, Yahuwah's ministers, mourn. The field is wasted, the land mourn, for the corn is wasted, the new wine is dried up, and the oil languish. Be ye ashamed, O ye husband, how ye vine dressers, for the wheat and barley, because the harvest of the field is perished. The vine is dried up, the fig tree languished, the pomegranate tree, the palm tree, and the apple tree, even all the trees of the field are withered, because joy is withered away from the sons of man, sons of men. Gird yourselves and lament, ye priests, how ye ministers of the altar, come, lie all night in sackcloth, you ministers of my Elohim, for the meat offering and the drink offering is withholden from the house of your Elohim. What do you think this could be talking about? I know I read a lot, but what you think that could be talking about? Well, let's sit back and let's look at what it's talking about. First thing he said is he told him a nation come. He said he laid bare my vine waste. Yahushua already told you in the 15th chapter of John, and Jose told you Yasharal is an empty vine, will bring fruit unto itself. Yahushua say, my father is the husbandman, I am the true vine. When you turn around and you look at, they made that vine waste because this man sat back and he had to turn around and do something. When he sat back and say he was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death, because now he's in the days of his youth. He put that sorrow away from his heart to put evil away from his flesh, because he came a curse for us, because that childhood and that youth were vanity. They were worthless. Everything was set up for him to come up and die. So that's why he sit back and say, my vine is wasted. Don't you go out that door. Shut that door. Oh, go outside. Goodbye. So then he said he bought my fig tree. They made it clean bare and cast it away. The branches thereof are made white. See, when they turn around, they cast Mashiach away. That's the same thing that was going to happen to you. He said, your brethren that hated you for my name's sake, they going to cast you away. They going to cast your name as evil. See, you have to be willing to take those things on. Hold on, let me see something real fast. Just let me see something real fast. See, when he sat back and he said the branches thereof are made white, and we know Mashiach is called the branch, and to be made white is to be purified. So that's when he's taken through that furnace of affliction, which we were discussing the other day. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to sit back and look at it in the word that will Laban. You got to be purified or made white. So when you look at it saying being made white or the branches, that's to be purified. And not only the branches, because Mashiach said, ye are the branches. I am the vine. You are the branches. Abide in me and I in you, and you'll bring forth much fruit. He said, he that abide in me, I will purge it, that it bring forth more fruit. That means I'm going to purge it. That means I'm going to put fire to it and purify it, and therefore it'll produce more fruit. So when we turn around and sit back and look at that, at times we're going to have to sit back and we're going to have to be laid waste. You know what I'm saying? When we talking about being laid waste, that means brought down low. But then the bits again brought down low to be purified. That's when you're going to have to put that sorrow away from your heart and that evil away from your flesh, and not walk in the desires on your own heart and the lust of your eyes, and become a mature, upright individual in the word. That's why he say we that are strong ought to support the weak. That's what Mashiach did. See, sometimes we forget about that, because when we dealing with the word, we don't seem to understand that. Mashiach came to help the weak, not the strong. You know what I'm saying? So if you turn around and you see your brother, your sister, and they in a weak state, you supposed to support them. That's fulfilling the law of Mashiach. Because hold this Joel 1. Look at Romans 15, what I'm talking about. If we're going to fulfill the law of Mashiach, then you got to turn around and do what he did. See, sometimes we don't sit back and you look at that. He says, we then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves. Let every one of us please his neighbor for his good to edification. For even Mashiach pleased not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproach thee fell on me. So he sit back and say, we that are strong ought to take on the weaknesses of the weak. Which is turn around, you sit back and look at, son, you end up taking on what that person is going through. That's what Mashiach turned around and did. He took on your sorrows. He took on your sin. He took on your death. That's what he did with Adam. He took on Adam's sorrows. He took on Adam's weakness. He took on Adam's death to make that weakness a strength, to make that sorrow joy, and to make that death life. That's why he said we members one of another. If one mourn, we mourn with it. If one honor, we rejoice with it. It's all an interconnected thing. That's when you sit back and you look at operating in his spirit. You turn around and look at it. I have my own sorrows, but people coming to me with theirs, I still got to deal with theirs. I can't take theirs and flush it down the toilet. You know what I'm saying? So I got to take theirs on along with mine. But that's just the way that's how the word is. That's how things go. You have to sit back and you have to look at that. You know what I'm saying? There's no way if we say we in the body, you know what I'm saying, that we just reject each other and leave each other to their own devices. That's not how this thing rolls. Come on back to Joel chapter 1. That's why he say we that are strong ought not to please ourselves. See, sometimes we sit back and we look at that and we don't be interconnected. Let me get there. Okay. Joel chapter 1. So when we look at verse 8, when he say lament like a virgin, girded with sackcloth, for the husband of her youth, you turn around and you look at the apostles and the women and all those people. They sat back looking at, they mourned for Mashiach. They mourned for him like a woman in the days of youth. Because you know he told the woman he'll multiply sorrows in her conception. Because the woman Eve was in sorrows for the husband of her youth because of the transgression. Look at the next thing he say. The meat offering, the drink offering is cut out from the house of Yahuwah. The priests, Yahuwah's ministers mourn. Well, these priests that are mourning are the apostles. The drink offering and the meat offering, you just read about it. Take, eat, this is my body. Take, drink, this is my blood. This goes back to what we were talking about in Numbers 28 when he said give these meat and drink offerings in their season. See, these dudes will sit back and read these scriptures and even sit and missing the fact. When they're talking about the meat, the drink offering, they're talking about Mashiach blood in his body. He said it's been cut off. When you turn around and you look at it, when he on the stake, they kill him. Right there when they killing the man, he putting evil away from his flesh because he done became sin. He done put off the body of sin. He put off the body of sin and put on the power of the Ruach that we might turn around and do the same because the meat and the drink offering had been cut off. His body and his blood had been cut off because the testament is no effect while the testator live. And the New Testament is the law in your heart and in your inward part. And I will remember your iniquities and your transgressions no more. And he turned and say, and this would say the field wasted, the land mourned because the corn is wasted, the new wine dried up, the oil languished. Be ashamed, O you husbandmen, your vine dressers, the wheat and barley, the harvest of the field is perished. You got to sit back and look at Mashiach is the harvest. He done perished. He said you ought to mourn for it. That's why you sit back and you look at certain things and be a solemn occasion. That's why he say the vine is dried up, the fig tree is languishing, the palm tree and the pomegranate, the apple, all the trees of the field are withered because joy is withered away from the sons of men. The apostles were so sorrowful. You got to see, look at Luke 24 and 16. Just hold this here. We still holding Romans 5 and 12, but look at Luke 24 and 16. (24 and 13). Now this after they done went to the sepulchre to find him gone. They wondered what's going on, where he at. And behold, two of them that went that same day to a village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem, about threescore furlongs. They talked together of all these things which had happened. And it came to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Yahushua himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were holden that they should not know him. Hello? Hello? What's happening with you, man? He said, and he said unto them, what manner of communications are these that ye are sad? That you have one with another and walk as ye are sad. Because it say the priests are mourn. You know what I'm saying? It say the priests of Yahuwah should mourn. And one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answering said unto him, art thou only a stranger in Jerusalem, and hast not known the things which are come to pass there in these days? And he said unto them, what things? And they said unto him concerning Yahushua of Nazareth, which was a prophet mighty in deed and word before Elohim and all the people, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and have crucified him. But we trusted that it had been he which should redeem Yasharal. And besides all this, today is the third day these things were done. Now you just sit back and look at it, right? Going back to Bereshit, going back to Genesis chapter 1, it say on that third day, that's when that tree was made. Let's go back and look at that tree. Let's go back and look at that tree. All the way back to the days of your youth. All the way back to the beginning. Look what he said in verse 11. The earth bringing forth grass. You got an herb yielding seed, but then you got a fruit tree yielding fruit after his own kind, whose seed was in itself. And it was upon the earth, and it was so. And the earth brought forth this tree, whose seed was in itself after his kind. He saw that it was good. This happened on the third day.
Wash your hands.
This happened on the third day. Cleopas just said, man, we were confident that it was him that would redeem Yasharal, and this is the third day since these things have happened. The same way Joel saying the meat offering and the drink offering had been cut off. Let the priest of Yahuwah mourn. He said the fig tree languished, the pomegranate tree, the apple tree, it doesn't wither away. Why? Because he put evil away from his flesh, because he looked and understood childhood and youth are vanity, they worthless. What's the sense of being immature? It's got to come a time when you got to manifest a mature set of behavior. And he told him put sorrow away from his heart. Mashiach said he was exceedingly sorrowful even unto death. He sat and prayed to the Father and said, let this cup pass. He said, but if not, thy will be done, not my will be done. And after that, he stood up and said, let us be going. The Son of Man shall be betrayed in the hand of sinners. He said, should not the Son of Man suffer any of these things to come into his esteem? He said, how shall the scriptures be fulfilled if these things don't happen? So now when he sit back and look at when it's time for him to die, he done put the sorrow away from his flesh. He didn't put the sorrow away from his heart and evil from his flesh. That's the same thing you supposed to look at when you sit back and you look at you going through something. It's time to put that sorrow away from your heart and the evil away from your flesh and sit back and realize childhood and youth are vanity and walk with Elohim. See, this was sit back what Mashiach understood because he knew he had to do that with Adam. Adam had done transgressed and the curse was on him. The curse say from the ground you're going to eat sorrows. You're going to eat from the ground with sorrow in your heart to the day you return to the dust. When it was time to him to get ready to return to the dust, he had sorrow in his heart. When he got back and he sat down and he had done ate, he put that sorrow from his heart. It's time for me to put evil away from my flesh. All this stuff I did here was for nothing. He said what I came here for, the purpose what I was made for, this what is here. See, look at John chapter 19. We still holding Romans 5 and 12. Look what he told Pilate. I'm sorry, it's John chapter 18. 18 and 35. John. Pilate answered, 33. Then Pilate entered into the judgment hall again and called Yahushua and said unto him, art thou the king of the Yahudim? Yahushua answered him, say thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell thee of me? Pilate answered, am I a Yahudim? Thy own nation and chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done? Yahushua answered, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Yahudim, but now is my kingdom not from hence. Pilate therefore said unto them, art thou a king then? Yahushua answered, thou say that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause I came into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth, hear my voice. He said, it's the purpose I was made, to put this sorrow away from my heart and this evil away from my flesh. That's the purpose. That's all I was made for. That's the purpose why I'm here, and to bear witness of the truth. And if you are the truth, you're going to hear me. You ain't of the truth, you're not going to hear me. See, something that's coming to my mind, man. Let's go and read it, Romans 5 and 12. Let's not keep putting it on the back burner. And then we'll get Galatians 4 and 1.
Mommy!
Leave that out there, Lizzie. Shut that door. 5 and 12, Romans. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, so death passed upon all men, that all have sinned. Unto the Torah sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned, after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come. But not as the offense, so also is the free gift. For if through the offense one of many be dead, much more the favor of Elohim and the gift by favor, which is by one man, Yahushua HaMashiach, have abounded unto many. And not as it was by one that sinned, so was the gift. For the judgment was by one to condemnation, but the free gift is of many offenses unto justification. For if by one man's offense death reigned by one, much more they which receive abundance of favor and of the gifts of righteousness shall reign in life by one, Yahushua HaMashiach. So we turn around and we look at something. You know, in the 13th chapter of Job, by the 26th verse, he talk about how they put prints in his heels and they made me to possess the iniquities of my youth. See, he made him to possess death. Because when you turn around and you look at Adam, Adam was just a similitude of what was to come. In all actuality, when it comes to eternal life, Adam was pure deep vanity. Because Adam walked after the desires of his heart and the lust of his eyes. And Elohim brought him into judgment. But then he told him, put that sorrow away from your heart and that evil away from your flesh. So when we turn around and we look at it, when we come in the end to be conformed to Mashiach, and we sit back and look at that seed falling into that good ground to bring forth that fruit, just like Mashiach with that seed falling into good ground, and he was that fruit yielding tree that was made on the third day that Elohim saw that were good. You turn around and you look at like this here. I got to put this sorrow away from my heart and this evil away from my flesh, because childhood and youth are worthless. There's a coming time where you're going to have to fully develop and mature, and you're going to have to flee youthful lust. See, since I said flee youthful lust, 2 Timothy chapter 2. We'll get to Galatians chapter 4 in a minute. Just put that on the hold for a second. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 22. Let's just make it 19. 2 Timothy 2 and 19. Nevertheless, the foundation of Elohim stands sure, having this seal: the master know them that are his, and let everyone that name the name of Mashiach depart from iniquity. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of brass, and some to honor and some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work. He say, flee also youthful lusts. Listen to what he tell you to do, though. But follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call out of the master of a pure heart. So when you look at that flee youthful lust, we're going to have to go all the way back and look at the youth. Now let's look at Ezekiel chapter 16. Now that's when we're going to start dealing with our people coming up out of Egypt. We looked at youthful lust as it pertains to Adam. They had that desire to hit that tree. Why? Because of the lust of the eyes and the pride of the heart. And that's why Mashiach come, and he didn't go by the lust of his eyes or the pride of his heart. He sat back and he conformed himself to the Father's will. So therefore he put that sorrow away from his heart and put evil away from his flesh, because he knew every work would be brought into judgment. That judgment was the Father granted him the eternal life and all those that would obey him. Ezekiel 16 and about 5. Ezekiel 16 and about 5. Make it 4. 16 and 4. And as for thy nativity, we'll make it 3. And say, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim unto Jerusalem, thy birth and thy nativity is in the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, thy mother a Hittite. And as for thy nativity in the day, Thou was born, thy navel was not cut, neither was thou washed in water to supple thee. Thou was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. None I pity thee to do any of these unto thee, to have compassion upon thee, but thou wast cast into the open field, to the loathing of thy person in the day that thou was born. And when I passed by thee and saw thee polluted in thy own blood, I said unto thee, when thou was in thy blood, live, yea, live. I said, sorry, he say, and when I was in thy blood, live, yea. And I said unto thee, when thou was in thy blood, live. I caused thee to multiply as the bud of the field. And then thou increased in wax and great, and thou art come to excellent ornaments. Thy breasts are fashioned, thy hair is grown. Whereas thou was naked and bare. Now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, and behold, thy time was the time of love, and I spread my skirt over thee, and covered thy nakedness, yea, I swear unto thee, and entered into a covenant with thee, saith Yahuwah Elohim, and thou became mine. Then I washed thee with water, yea, I thoroughly washed away thy blood from thee, and I anointed thee with oil. I clothed thee also with broidered work, and shod thee with badger skin. I girded thee about with fine linen. I covered thee with silk. I decked thee also with ornaments, and I put bracelets upon thy hands, and a chain on thy neck. And I put a jewel on thy forehead, and earrings in thine ears, and a beautiful crown upon thy head. And thou was decked with gold and silver, and thy raiment was of fine linen and silk broidered work. Thou did eat fine flour and honey and oil, and thou was exceedingly beautiful, and thou did prosper into a kingdom. So now he sit back and he seen you in the days of your youth, you were polluted in blood. Now you know how they were polluted in blood. Y'all know how they could have been polluted in blood. Well, let's look at about verse 22 then. Look at verse 22. Same chapter. And in all thy abominations and thy whoredoms, thou remembered not the days of thy youth, when thou was naked and bare, and was polluted in thy blood. And it came to pass, after all thy wickedness, woe unto thee, saith Yahuwah Elohim. Thou hast built unto thee an eminent place, and hast made thee a high place in every street. Come on about verse 40. See if something come to mind for any of y'all. They shall also bring up a company against thee, and they shall stone thee with stones, and thrust thee through with swords. Matter of fact, back it up to 37. Back it up to 36. Because just reading that, something came to my head. Ezekiel 16 and 36. When he's sitting back talking about the days of our youth, when we were in Mizraim, we were polluted in our own blood because we were sitting back with them people. We were in our sins. We were dwelling with them people in our sins, and he came and found us in our blood and told us to live. You just sit back and look at, he washed away the blood that was on us with the blood of a lamb. That's what delivered us and brought us out. Then when he said, I seen you polluted in your blood, and I washed thee and told you to live, that's when he took you through the Red Sea and immersed you. Just like he sit back and look at, he said, if a man commits sin, his blood will be upon him. That's what the law say. That's why he told Paul in Acts chapter 22 to rise up and wash away thy sins, wash that blood up off of you. Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, because thy filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered through thy whoredoms with thy lovers, and with all the idols of thy abominations, and by the blood of thy children which thou didst give unto them. Behold, therefore I will gather all thy lovers with whom thou hast taken pleasure, and all them thou hast loved, and with all them that thou hast hated. And I will gather them round about against thee, and will discover thy nakedness unto them, that they may all see thy nakedness. And I will judge thee as a woman that break wedlock and shed blood are judged. And I will give thee blood and fury and jealousy. I will also give thee into their hand, and they shall throw down thine eminent place. They shall break down thy high places. They shall strip thee also of thy clothes, and shall take thy fair jewels, and leave thee naked and bare. They shall also bring up a company against thee, and they shall stone thee with stones, and thrust thee through with swords. They shall burn thy houses with fire, and execute judgments upon thee in the sight of many women. And I will cause thee to cease from playing the harlot, and thou shalt give no hire any more. So I will make my fury towards thee to rest, and my jealousy shall not depart from thee, and I will be quiet and no more angry. What did you hear, Dwight, when you heard some of that, what he just said? You caught anything of what he just said? Well, sit back and let's pause right here, right? And back it up just a little bit. And let's look at about verse 37. See when he said, I'll gather all thy lovers. Now, when he say gathering all thy lovers, I know, obviously, you don't know the framework. What do you think he referring to when he say all his lovers?
First thing came out when Mary took a lamb, but I thought about it.
Now remember, remember what we read in 22? When he say that they got with the heathen? When you look at when he talking about during that day, I bring all your lovers against thee. This is talking about the heathen or the nations. All the people that Yasharal went and laid with in the days of our youth. So when he's telling them that I'm going to gather all your lovers, which you take pleasure, all them that love thee, with all them that thou hast hated, and I will gather them round about thee, and they will discover thy nakedness, that they may see all of thy nakedness. Now, when we go back, let's look at the law. Hold this Ezekiel 16 and get Genesis chapter 3 and let's look at the law. Remember, we sit back and we think about Jeremiah 49 when he said when Esau will discover his secret parts or your naked, because nakedness is just meaning the exposing, not necessarily being butt naked, but exposing your sin. So when we look at Genesis chapter 3, about verse 8, or verse 7, I should say, the eyes of them were both open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahuwah Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahuwah Elohim called unto Adam and said, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. You know what I'm saying? So, when it's talking about here in when it's talking about here that I will discover your nakedness and that they may all see thy nakedness, knowing that Mashiach was made sin for us. Hold on, y'all. You know what I'm talking about? That means that sin or that nakedness that we see Adam in the days of his youth was exposed. Because Adam turned around and he put that fig tree to cover himself because his sin was exposed. We see Mashiach turn around, do the same thing. His sin is exposed. Everybody seen his nakedness. So when we turn around and we look in verse 38, he said, I will judge thee as woman that break breadlock and shed blood of judge. I will give thee blood and fury and in jealousy. Well, let's hold this and let's look at, hush, Lizzie, and let's look at Luke 12 and 49. Hush, Lizzie. Luke 12 and 49. Elizabeth. He said, I come to send fire on their rats. And what will it if it be already kindled? I have an immersion to be immersed with. And how am I straight until it be accomplished? Suppose ye that I come to give shalom on the rats? I tell you nay, but rather division. From henceforth there shall be 5 in one house divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, and the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother, and the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law. And you just sat back and you seen that there when you talking about division right there, because he got the one that's sitting back gathering in front of all his lovers, You got the other one sitting around looking at all those that you hated, and you got all your lovers right here. People divided against one another. Two on one accord against one. Division. Because he said, I'm going to let this fire, let my anger rest upon you in fire and in jealousy. You know what I'm talking about? That's why the man say, what if I got to do if the fire already been kindled? Say you kindle the fire of my anger to the deepest hell, it'll never be put out. Because your Elohim is a consuming fire. Come on back to Ezekiel 16. That's why you sit back and look at, you got to go through the furnace of affliction to get purged. That's why you say, turn around and say, put that sorrow away from your heart. Don't nobody believe you, Elizabeth. So let's look at 39, right? He said, I will also give thee into their hand, and they shall throw down thy eminent place. Well, we already read, he said, I shall be rejected by the chief priests and scribes and killed on the third day. Eminent place just mean great place, high place. They threw him down. Isaiah 59 tell you, by the truth shall be laying in the street. Same way Amasa was. They took him off the stake, threw him down. He say, they shall break down thy high places. They shall strip thee also of thy clothes and take their fair jewels and leave thee naked and bare. Look what they did in Matthew 27 then. Let's see if they left the man naked and bare, stripped him of all their clothes, just like it say. 27 and 30, 27, 29. Golly, man. Tell this nigga this, he still do it. And when they had planted a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head and a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Yahudim. They spit upon him and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after they had mocked him, they took the robe off him, put on his own raiment, and led him away to crucify him. Then they came out and they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his state. And when they were coming to the place called Golgotha, that is the place of the skull, they gave him vinegar to drink mingled with gall. And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. And they crucified him and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and my vesture they did cast lots. You sitting back there seeing that in Ezekiel. They took all your garments, all your fair jewels, left you naked and bare. You know what I'm saying? Now you turn around and you look at that. That's what the Father got to do with us sometimes. We talking about take that sorrow out your heart and get that evil away from your flesh. You got to sit back and you got to be made naked and bare. You got to be stripped down all the way down. Now when we sit back and we look at fleeing from the youthful lust, we going to get there. Just bear with me. Look at the next thing he said, because it was something came to my mind when we came here. So I couldn't just let that slide. He said, they shall also bring a company against thee. They shall stone thee with stones and thrust thee through with sword. Well, Mashiach said, do you come out against me with swords and staves? Because a great multitude came to take him. A great company came. Y'all know they stoned the man. Y'all know they thrust him through with the sword when they hit him in the side with the spear. Then he said, they shall burn thy houses with fire and execute judgment in the sight of many women. I'll cause thee to cease from playing the harlot. Thou shalt give no more hire anymore. He said, then will I make my fury towards thee to rest. That's why you sit back and look at Mashiach is your rest. Now that fury, see, hold on. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 11. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 11. Not 11. My apologies. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 8. He said, now that fury done caused it to rest, something done happened, because Mashiach your rest. He said, come unto me, all ye that are heavy laden, I'll give you rest. He said, but let us who are of the day be sober. Putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet, the hope of salvation. For Elohim have not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our master, Yahushua HaMashiach. He said, my fury done fell on this person, so called rest. See, get Hebrew chapter 4. Hebrews chapter 4. About verse 8. Make it 7. Again, he limited a certain day, saying in Daoud, today after so a long time, as it is said, today if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts. For if Yahushua had given them rest, then he would not afterwards spoken of another day. There remained therefore rest to the people of Elohim. For he that is in his rest, he have also ceased from his works, as Elohim did from his. When you look at the works that this man ceased from, he put the sorrow away from his heart, and he put the evil away from his flesh. So let's come back and let's look at something again in Ezekiel 16. So when he sat back and he told you that I'll make my fury towards thee to rest, and my jealousy shall depart from thee, and I will be quiet and will be no more angry. Look at 2 Corinthians chapter 11. It man say, I make my fury towards thee to rest, and my jealousy to depart from thee. Now you sit back and look at, he said, have no other Elohims, for I'm a jealous Elohim. This man had to stand up in the fire of his jealousy for what we had done did. Get Ezekiel 36, go along with this 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Second Corinthians 11:1. You got to sit back and look at all that stuff fell on Mashiach because of the lust of your youth. Then we're going to turn around and look at some of them youthful lusts of Yasharal and how they manifest that and showed that. And you had to turn around and you had to learn how to flee from that. He said, would the Elohim, you could bear with me a little in my folly? Indeed, bear with me. For I'm jealous over you with a godly jealousy, for I've espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Mashiach. But I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Mashiach. Because that's what happen when you immature, you young, you usually got a naive mind. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can come through and they can beguile you with their subtlety to take you down. Because usually when you're young, like he stated, you're going to walk in your own heart and you're going to go by your own eyes. And when somebody can play upon that, when you in that state, that's what it can take you down. That's why you say, I would hope that you don't be corrupted from the simplicity that's in Mashiach. Because to follow the Mashiach, it's not that hard. He say, for if he that come preach another Yahusha, whom we have not preached, or you receive another Ruach, which you had not received, or another gospel, which you had not accepted, you might bear well with him. So that turn around and tell you, somebody come around with a different word, a different teaching, a different doctrine. That's why you say, if sinners entice thee, son, consent thee not. You sit back and look at it. You're supposed to have that mature mind enough to know to discern between good and evil. That if this situation is coming, this is not my Elohim. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to. That's why you say we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. A lot of people be ignorant. Only reason why most people be ignorant of devices or get caught up like that is just immature thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because you still walking in the days of your youth. You still thinking like Adam thought. You still thinking how Yasharal thought. Come back to Ezekiel 36. Then we'll look back at Ezekiel 16. Then we'll get in the law. Ezekiel chapter 36. (16). Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Yasharal dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanliness of a removed woman. That's what he said back and said. That's what he said when you in the lust of your youth. What do you turn around and do? Follow your own heart. Go after your own eyes. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land and for the idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed among the countries, according to their way and according to their doings I judged them. And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my Kadesh name. And when they had said to them, these are the people of Yahuwah and are gone forth out of his land, but I had pity for my Kadesh name, which the house of Yasharal had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore say unto the house of Yasharal, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Yasharal, but for my Kadesh name's sake, which you have profaned among the heathen, whither you went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahuwah, saith Yahuwah Elohim, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eye. That's why when you sat back and you see Mashiach up on the tree, before he got on the tree, he say, sanctify them by the truth. Thy word is truth. And I sanctified myself by the truth, that you might, so that they might sanctify themselves by the truth. And he did that right in the eyesight of the heathen. Because what did he tell Pilate? For this cause was I born, and for this cause I came in the earth, and I bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that's of the truth hear my voice. That man say, what is true? He said, I don't find no fault in this man. Listen what he tell you. I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of the countries and bring you to your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. And a new heart also will I give you, and a new ruach will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and will give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my ruach within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes. You shall keep my judgments and do them. Now later on down this, he tell you he don't do this for your sake. He say you ought to be ashamed. Now, all this fury and all this jealousy to cause you to rest, he's sitting here telling you why. Because I got to get my name back. I got to re-sanctify that and then cleanse you from all that stuff you did in your youth. Because once I cleanse you from all this stuff in your youth, remember he say, blessed are those that mourn, they'll be comforted. You turn around and you look at it, you humble yourself and you mourn for your sins and your transgressions. Then you can put that sorrow away from your heart, then begin to put evil away from your flesh and to grow into mature in the word to become a new creature. Then when you become a new creature, you can grow. He say all scripture is given by inspiration of Elohim, profitable for doctrine and for reproof, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Elohim might be perfect, furnished thoroughly unto every good work. So in order to be complete, to be made whole, to be mature, you got to put that sorrow away from your heart. You got to put that evil away from your flesh. You got to be reborn and grow in the word to be a full age. Ain't nowhere in the world you talking about, boy, you in the word, boy, and you got to go backwards. It shouldn't be no regressing. You get in the word of Elohim, you shouldn't be regressing to come back to the basics. You got to come back to the basics. That means you a baby, you immature. And that ain't good. Ezekiel 16. This guy. Ezekiel 16, let me see what verse we start at. Ezekiel 16, what we start at? By verse 42. He says, so I will make my furies toward thee to rest, and my jealousy shall depart from thee, and I will be quiet and will be no more angry. See, now we'll finish 1 Thessalonians, right? We already finished 1 Thessalonians. The whole purpose of this man dying and resting was to cause the anger of Elohim to depart from us, because he hasn't appointed us to wrath, because he put that wrath on Mashiach, so that wrath wouldn't fall on us. Now it's a contingent upon us on what we gonna do. We don't no longer need to walk in the days of our youth when we walked in sin. Like Paul said, he said, I would have not known thou shalt not covet, lest the law said thou shalt not covet. Because in the days of your youth, you sitting back, you not knowing. See, it's only one or two things you're gonna sit back and happen to you in the days of your youth when you don't know no better. Either Elohim gonna let you continue in that path, or he gonna put the rod of correction on you to drive that death from you. Same thing he did to Mashiach. Let's look at verse 43 though. He said, because thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, but hast fretted me in all these things, behold, therefore, I will recompense thy way upon thy head, saith Yahuwah Elohim, and thou shalt not commit this lewdness above all thy abominations. So we need to go back and look at the days of your youth, and we need to sit back and look at these youthful lusts that we need to flee from when we turn around and we sit back and we look at the children of Yasharal. So let's look at this Exodus 32 first. Let's look at that first. Exodus 32. Exodus 32 and 1. One of youthful lust and patience. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Mizraim, we wot not what is become of him. Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of thy wives, and of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron, and received them out of their hand, and fashioned it with the graving tool. And after he made it a molten calf, they said, These be thy gods, O Yasharal, which brought thee up out of the land of Mizraim. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow it is a feast of Yahuwah. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat, to drink, and rose up to play. That's the first thing you sit back looking at youthful love. First chance they got, because they got impatient, they want to drink, they want to eat, and they want to play. So you would sit back and look at, see, hold on. Luke chapter 12, something Mashiach said about that. That you got to flee from that. See, that's one of the lusts of our youth. When you sitting back looking at that, that's what we did in our Genesis, in our beginning. You got to flee from that type of stuff. You can't be doing that type of stuff. You get impatient, so now you want to play. Stuff ain't going how you want to go. It didn't move as fast as you wanted to play. So now you're just going to go and link up with somebody and go play. See, that's what kids want to do is play. Grown people ain't got no time to play. Luke 12 and 42. Luke 12 and 41. Luke 12 and 41. And the masters, then Peter said unto him, Master, speak thou this parable unto us, or even to all? And the master said, Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom is his master shall make ruler over his household, to give them portion of meat in due season? Baruch is that servant whom his master, when he come shall find so doing. Of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he hath. But and if that servant say in his heart, My master delay his coming, just like they said with Moses, and shall begin to beat the men servants and the maidens, and to eat and drink and to be drunken, the master of that servant will come in a day when he look not for him, and at an hour when he is not ware, and will cut him asunder, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. And that servant which knew his master's will, and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he that knew not, and did commit things worthy of stripes, shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom have committed much, of him they will ask more. So when you turn around and look at it, he say, oh, you want to be like the one want to eat, drink, and play? He say, you're going to be cut asunder with your portion with the unbeliever. That's what happened in Exodus 32. The people that rose up to eat, drink, and play, Moses say, who on Yahuwah's side? The Levites said, we here. 3,000 of them, they girded their side, that sword on their side, and killed 3,000 men, cut them their portion. So that's what's going to happen to you. He say, yeah, you can walk in the lust, you can walk in the, and remember the days of your youth and rejoice in them. Because see, that's what they were remembering. Oh, we came up out of Egypt. This the God that brought us up out of Egypt. He said, you can walk after the ways of your heart and the side of your own eye, but just sit back, understand, and know, I'm going to put that sword to you now. Because you're going to come into judgment. That's just what happened to him. So we have to sit back and look at that. You can't sit back and look at something ain't coming at the speed that I wanted to come, so I'm finna go get up and play. Because you're going to get up and play, you're going to catch that sword. The man going to bring you into judgment. It's a guarantee. Come on back. Let's come back and look at the law some more. Let's look at Exodus 17. Well, let's look at Exodus 16 and let's look at them some more. Hey, man, hold on, y'all. Man, with all that blasphemy, you can do that on your own time. Look at Exodus 16 and 1. It said in the congregation, and they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Yasharal came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month, after their departing out of the land of Mizraim. And the whole congregation of the children of Yasharal murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Yasharal said unto him, would to Elohim we had died by the hand of Yahuwah in the land of Mizraim, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full. This nigga here. You have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with anger, with hunger. So now you sit back and look at it, right? You see the first thing they looking at? See, hold this and get Philippians chapter 3. Hold this here, right? They said we had flesh pots by the fool. We had bread. He out here to kill. You know, you sit back and look at something, right? You know what I'm saying? You sit back and you can look at this, right? Y'all bringing them in the wilderness to humble them and to get them prepared to receive something, to actually fashion them to become mature individuals, to receive a gift, and they took it as mistreatment. They felt like he was mistreating them. Therefore, because they felt like they were being mistreated, you know what I'm saying? And they felt like Yah was against them and that he didn't love them, because they felt like if he loved them, then he wouldn't be doing this to them. When in actuality, it was their youthful immaturity, because they could not see or had the wherewithal to understand what he was trying to prepare them for. He said, he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger, that he might prove to thee that a man don't live by bread alone, but every word that proceed out the mouth of Elohim doth man live. He was trying to develop a more mature mind state into them. See, the thing that comes with people with an immature mind state spiritually is when somebody's coming, they're trying to give them a spiritual concept, a spiritual teaching, and walk with them and take them to shape them and mold them in a particular fashion. They can't seem to understand it because they got in their mind how it should be done. You know what I'm saying? See, they got in their mind it should go like this. But in actuality, to get you to this point, I got to take you this way. So then when you don't like the way that you being taken, you automatically blame the person who's taking you in this direction because you're missing what you're trying to do. See, when we were in the wilderness, we were missing. They sit back looking at, man, we was in Egypt, man, we had bread, man. We had pots full of meat. Man, we ain't got nothing out here. He came out here to kill us with hunger. This man don't love us. Look how he treat us. Look how he do us. And then when he made the manna down from Shamahim for him, them niggas didn't even appreciate that. Which he wasn't never going to starve him anyway. What I just said, we were coming over here to look at Philippians 3 and 17. Hold on, y'all. This nigga here, man.
Stop, man.
It's just amazing to me. A nigga do something and you want to blame Yah for it. This dude said he's a homosexual because of his loneliness. No loving God would do this to me. I'm sorry. You're a homosexual because you wanted booty hole. You know what I'm saying? Don't sit back and put that on the Most High. That's all you, buddy. You know what I'm talking about? That's all you, buddy. Sit back and say, I'm gay because of God. No, nigga, you gay because you gay, nigga. What you mean? That sound retarded. 3 and 17, brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk, so you have us for an ensample. For many walk, of whom I've told you often, and I tell you even weeping, that they are enemies of the stake of Mashiach. When you look and sit back and you look at your forefather, they were enemies of that affliction. That's why they were crying. You know what I'm saying? Man, it's hard, man. We hear it. They were enemies of it. Don't make me grow up. Let me stay immature. He say, who end is destruction, who God is their belly, whose esteem is in their shame, who mind earthly things. See, that's what they sit back and they look at. They wasn't looking at, see, hold on. He say, for our behaviors in Shamahim, from whence also we look for the Savior, the Master, Yahushua HaMashiach. See, they coming up out of that wilderness, and their mind was on the things of the earth, the things of this life. That's what they were thinking on. That's why he say, when the cares and affairs of this life choke off the word, that they can't bring forth no fruit. They coming up out of Egypt, all they can think about is flesh pots and bread. Let's look at the other thing they did in the 17th chapter of Exodus. Let's sit back and look at it. They were sitting back looking at lusting for the things of the flesh and not desiring the things of the Ruach that would minister them to cause them to grow by and by to inherit this inheritance. They weren't looking at that. So when you look at these two things, what they're looking at, that impatience, you got to flee from that. That lust of the flesh, you got to flee from that. Whereas we already looked at with Adam and Eve, the walking in your own heart, that's youthful lust. You got to flee from that. That pride, you got to flee from that. The lust of your eyes, you got to flee from that. Shut that door. Let's look at Exodus 17. Because that's what I want. Exodus 17 and 1. Let's look at the next thing. He said, all the congregation of Yasharal journeyed from the wilderness of sin, after their journeys according to the commandment of Yahuwah, and pitched in Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink. Wherefore the people did chide with Moses and say, give us water that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, why ye chide with me? Wherefore do you tempt Yahuwah? And the people thirsted there for water, and the people murmured against Moses and said, wherefore is this that thou hast brought us up out of Mizraim to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? Moses cried unto Yahuwah, saying, what shall I do unto this people? They ought be almost ready to stone me. So when you turn around and look at it, what do they do again? Youthful lust, tempting y'all. Trying y'all like y'all can't provide. It's what immature children do, an immature mind of thinking. Somehow we want water, complaining, murmuring. That man said, let all things be done without murmuring. Say, hold on, get you a pistol of Jude. You ain't got no business murmuring and complaining against y'all. That ain't gonna get you nowhere. Pistol of Jude, about verse 14. Pistol of Jude, about verse 14. And Enoch, also the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the master come with 10,000 of his Kadeshim, to execute judgment upon all, to convince all that are ungodly among them of their ungodly deeds which they ungodly committed out of their, and all of their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against them. These are murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lusts. See, mature people are not going to walk after their own desires. They're going to walk after what's right. They're going to be able to control themselves. He say, these are murmurers and complainers walking after their own lusts, and their mouths speaking great swelling words, having men's person in admiration because of advantage. See, let us turn around and let's look at another thing. Let's come back to Exodus. So when we look at it in the days of our youth, when we look at the things that they were doing, and you had to sit back, that you got to flee from them youthful lust. Then why Paul turned around and told you this, you need to follow after righteousness. You need to do what's right in the eyesight of Yahuwah. You need to follow after faith. You know what I'm talking about? You need to follow after charity. You need to have love for Elohim and for your brother, and after shalom with those who call on y'all out of a pure heart. People don't be calling on y'all out of a pure heart. What I just asked for, man. This dude causing me to forget. I'm talking about all this here, man. Nigga, that's your fault, buddy. Oh, we going back to the law. Back to Exodus. Let's look at what else we can find over here in Exodus about what these people did. Now it's your medication. Let's look at Numbers 14. Let's look at Numbers 14. Let's look at another thing. You got to flee them youth for lust. And you got to sit back and you got to mature and you got to grow. You can't go backwards. Number 14 and 1. And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Yasharal murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, would Elohim that we had died in the land of Mizraim, or that we had Elohim, we had died in this wilderness. Wherefore have Yahuwah brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey. Were it not better for us to return unto Mizraim? So when you sit back and look at it, an immature person would like to go back to bondage. They like to go back. Say, hold this and get 2 Peter chapter 2, about verse 17. Second Peter chapter 2, about verse 17. Make it about verse 18. Matter of fact, make it 17 is good. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 17. See, this is how an immature person got. He said, these are wells without water, clouds that are carried with the tempest, to whom the midst of darkness is reserved forever. See, hold on, right? He said they wells without water. See, when you sit back and look at wells without water, see, that take you back when you look at with Joseph in the pit, or you turn around and you look at Zechariah. When you talk about a well without water, that's a body without spirit. That's a body without ruach. That's a body without life. When this man turn around and sit back and tell you that they are carried with a tempest, hold what you got. Look at Isaiah 57. He talking about carried with a tempest. Isaiah 57. Yeah, it's good. Told our y'all for the word. Isaiah 57, not what I want. That's 58. There go 57. There it is. 57 and 20. Isaiah 57 and 20. Isaiah 57 and 20. He said, but the wicked are like a troubled sea when it cannot rest, whose waters are cast up mire and dirt. Because that's a tempest. It's like this here. Movement, rain, crashing, restlessness. He said, there's no shalom, saith my Elohim, to the wicked. That's why he say they rated reserved to darkness. He say individuals who like a well without water and like a tempest, these people are ordained for death. Because if it ain't no shalom to the wicked, that means it ain't no rest. That means that fury that fell upon Yasharah that we read in Ezekiel 16, which is indicative of Yahushua HaMashiach, that same fury gonna fall on you. That's why I say he hasn't appointed us to wrath. The wrath is upon the children of disobedience. Let no man deceive you. Come on back to 2 Peter chapter 2. Hey, my bad. I got this thing in my pocket. 2 Peter chapter 2. Like it wasn't on or nothing. Verse 17 again. These are wells without water, clouds that carried with the tempest, to whom the midst of darkness is reserved forever. Look what he say. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity. See, people that's immature, remember he say childhood and youth are vanity. So people who come to take you down with sin, so they come speaking great welling words of nothing. Words that do not profit. Words that have no gain. They allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness. See, that's how they sit back and he get you when you in your youthful desire. This is why he say flee youthful lust. Because when you got an immature mind, people come with great words that mean absolutely nothing. They allure you or entice you through your desires of your flesh. Same thing you seen in the beginning. He say those that were clean escape from them who live in error. So you turn around and look at when you clean, you're going to get away from a sinner. You're going to escape. While they promise them freedom, they themselves are the servants of corruption, for whom a man is overcome, of the same he brought in bondage. For after they had escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of our Master and Savior Yahushua HaMashiach, and they are entangled again therein and overcome, the latter end is worse with them than the beginning. So you turn around and look at it. If you clean, you supposed to escape from a sinner. You mess around and get entangled with it after you done received the knowledge to escape. You're going to be overcome. It's going to be worse for you than when you started. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it to turn from the Kadesh commandment delivered unto them. For it has happened unto them according to the true proverb, the dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the soul is washed in the wallowing of her mire. So when you turn around and sit back and look at it, if you sit back and you fleeing from youthful lust, if you go back to the lust of your youth, you going back to a dog, like a dog go back to his vomit, back to filth. These people asking to go back to sin, back to bondage. Say, are you retarded? Oh, you brought us out here to kill us. Impatience, unfaithful, unbelieving, unrighteous, no love for Elohim, no nothing. Let me go back to how I used to be. That's a pure recipe for death. That's why he turned around and swore in his wrath, these people will never enter into my rest. So we had to flee from them type of thing. Our mind had to be crafted and changed to be more mature. Let's come back to the law one more time. And Deuteronomy chapter 9. Last thing we sit back looking at youthful lust. Deuteronomy chapter 9. And there's many other examples of things in this here. We just narrowing it down. It's going to take too many. We don't got to have so many examples. You know, we can always have a lot. 9 and 4. Deuteronomy dot bring 9 and 4. 9 and 4. Speak not thou in thy heart. After that, Yahuwah, thy Elohim, have cast him out from before thee, saying, for my righteousness Yahuwah have brought me in to possess this land, but for the wickedness of these nations Yahuwah doth drive them out from before thee. Not for thy righteousness or for the uprightness of thine heart dost thou go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations Yahuwah thy Elohim doth drive them out from before thee, that he may perform the word which Yahuwah sware unto thy fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Understand therefore that Yahuwah thy Elohim give thee not this good land to possess it, for thy righteousness, for thou art a stiff-necked people. And you sit back and you talking about fleeing youthful lust, that hard-headedness, that's it. You gonna have to get rid of that. All that bucking up against y'all, doing your own will, not listening, not following, going after what you want. Like these people made a captain to go back to Egypt because they thought it was better for them there. You had to sit back and look at it. You had to sit back and look at, right, a 35-year-old man, you know what I'm saying, shouldn't be thinking or desiring the same things that he did at 25, or desiring or wanting the things that he did at 15, because that means you've went over a 10-year span, a 20-year span with no progression, no maturation. You still stuck. As Nas had a song back in the day, man, you in your second childhood. You're trying to relive the days of your youth. You see people do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? We had to sit back and look at that. You don't want to regret. It should be a maturation process. You should want things greater than what you wanted when you were younger. When you turn around and you look at it, when the days of our youth come up out of Mizraim, we were crying by the reason of bondage and the sin that and the things that we were taking on. And then when Yah delivered us from that bondage, we sought to go right back to the same thing he saved us from. You know what I'm saying? What type of intelligence and spiritual maturity is that? That a man saved, the Most High Yah saves you from a situation that was actually not good for you, and you desire to want to have it all over again. Thinking about some flesh pots and some bread and some water, because you weren't willing to endure the process that he had to take you for you to inherit the kingdom. See, you talking about, he say, ain't nobody had you no swaddling clothes. That man say, I took you and nursed you and taught you and schooled you. They didn't sit back and realize all that law he was giving them, all that instruction he was giving them, all that humbling that he was giving them, all the suffering, all the afflictions, all this stuff he sat back and took them through. He said, by and by they were offended. They didn't want to go no more. They wanted to go back. All that purpose was to make you perfect. He say by the thing, he say he learned obedience by the things that he suffered. They didn't sit back and want to learn that obedience. They didn't want to become mature sons of the living Elohim. They didn't want the inheritance because they'd rather do what they did when they were young. Come on back to Ecclesiastes chapter 11, because I read verse 6 and 7, and I got to get that. I got to finish that before we depart. Look at verse 6. This nigga here is really trying to justify that, man. Hold on, y'all. This nigga on here talking about, he said, you don't effing get it, man. My sexual urges are out of control. You ain't wanting to sleep with guys, are you? Because I am. I mean, you been wanting to sleep with a boy. That's just like niggas say I'm having urges to sleep with a cow or a sheep. Nigga, that didn't happen overnight. This nigga here. I don't know what he sent me that for. I can't get to Pompano Beach. 11:6. In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thy hand. For thou know not whether shall prosper either this or that, or whether both shall be alike good. Truly the light is sweet, and is a pleasant thing for to behold the eye to behold the sun. But if a man live many years and rejoice in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that come is vanity. So when he sit back and tell you in the morning sow thy seed, that means to put it in the ground. You sit back and you look at it, they grab the sheep out in the morning, getting ready to sow that seed. And in the evening, don't withhold your hand. Because when they came back, they sit back and they looked at it, they came to get him. That man didn't hold his hand when it came dark. He didn't withhold it. He kept working. He said, you don't know whether to prosper either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. Well, we already seen that from the beginning. He said it was good. With the tree that had the seed within itself. You know, anything come from Elohim is going to be good, and all things work out to the good of them that's called for a purpose. You got to sit back and look at it. Anything come from Elohim ain't going to direct you into sin. It's definitely not going to have you commit multiple sins. That's not going to happen. He say, truly the light is sweet. It's a pleasant thing for the eyes to behold the sun. Let's turn around and look at Acts chapter 10. Let's look how pleasant it was for them to behold the sun. Okay, truly the light is sweet. Good to the taste, I promise to tell you. Acts chapter 10 about verse 37, 36. Acts 10 and 36. Boy, you stay getting rocked, boy. You think you'll get tired of it after a while, man. The word which Elohim sent unto the children of Yasharal, preaching peace by Yahushua HaMashiach. He is master of all. The word I say unto you, that word I say you know, which was published throughout all Yehuda, and began from Galilee after the immersion which Yochanan preached. How Elohim anointed Yahushua of Nazareth with the Ruach HaKodesh and with power, who went about doing good. He said, how will you know if both alike is good? Healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for Elohim was with him. And we are witnesses of all things which he did, both in the land of Yahudim and in Jerusalem, who they slew and hanged on a tree. Him Elohim raised up the third day and showed him openly, not to all the people, but unto witnesses chosen before of Elohim, even to us who did eat and drink with him after he rose from the dead. And he commanded us to preach unto the people and to testify that it is he which was ordained of Elohim to be the judge of the quick and dead. To him give all the prophets witness that through his name whosoever believe in him shall receive remission of sins. You sit back and look at it. He say, unto us it was given to preach. Just like we were talking about the signs and the things in Shamahim, it bear witness unto all the nations that they ought to repent, that through belief in the Son of Elohim, you might get your sins remitted. That's why truly the light is sweet, and it's a beautiful thing to behold the sun. See, look at something in Acts chapter 22. When you behold the sun and you can see him with your eyes and hear him with your ears and get your Romans 10 and 9, your soul can be saved. But if your soul going to be saved, you got to put that sorrow from your heart and that evil from your flesh. And you're going to have to realize your childhood and youth was vanity. All that time we spent in Mizraim, it was worthless. It was for nothing. All that sit back we were going through in the wilderness, it was the teachers. All that stuff you did back there, you leave it there. Everything you did before the word, all the things you desired before the word that would make you to be contrary to me or lead you away from me, you leave it where you found it at. You come and walk with me and mature and grow and become a son of the living Elohim, and I will bless you with things your minds can't even comprehend. Because anything that you can desire will pale in comparison to what I'll give you. That's what he's trying to let us know. That stuff you wanted back in the days of your youth, man, that stuff don't mean nothing compared to what I'm going to give you. Acts chapter 22, about verse 13. Came unto me and stood and said unto me, Brother Saul, receive thy sight. In the same hour I looked upon him. And he said, the Elohim of our fathers have chosen thee, that thou should know his will, and see that just one, and should hear the voice of his mouth. For this shall be his witness unto all men of what thou hast seen and heard. You sit back and look at it. It's truly sweet to behold the light and to see the sun. You got to remember when Paul was walking to Damascus, that's when he seen a great light. He seen the sun. He was blinded. But it was sweet to him at the same time because it allowed for his sins to be remitted. That's what we got to remember. You know what I'm saying? I would sit back and look at, what did it have in my mind? Romans 10 and 9. That's what I said. Romans 10 and 9. 10 and 9. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Master Yahushua, and shalt believe in thy heart that Elohim have raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. For with the heart man believe unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. For the scripture saith, whosoever believe on him shall not be ashamed. For there is no difference between the Yahudim and the Greek. For the same master over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the master shall be saved. How then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe on him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of shalom, and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Yeshayahu saith Yahuwah, who have believed our report. So then faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim. So for us to be able to flee those youthful lusts and to see that the light is sweet to behold the sun, you're going to have to hear the word. Once you get a taste of that sweet, because he said the word was like honey, it was sweet to my taste. Come on back to Ecclesiastes 11. Because I'm going to read that verse 8 and 9 one more time, then wrap this thing up like a nice little gift. So when he tell you in verse 8 in Ecclesiastes that all them years, he say, remember the days of your darkness, they shall be many. You gotta sit back and you have to remember those times when you was walking out there contrary to the word to keep you in line. Sometimes you need to remember them things. But look at verse 9 again. Rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth. Walk in the ways of thine heart, and in the sight of thine eyes. But know that for all these things, Elohim will bring thee into judgment. So just know. Just know. Just know. You turn around and you walk in the days of your youth, and you walk in the ways of thy heart, and you turn around and you walk and according to the side of your eye, just know that y'all gonna get you. But look at the thing he tell you. Therefore remove sorrow from thy heart and put away evil from thy flesh. For childhood and youth are vanity. Now let's look at something in 1 Corinthians 13. It make what Paul say here in 1 Corinthians 13 resonate a lot harder. See, they walked in, and now we didn't read all the stuff that happened. Like I mentioned what happened to them with that sword. You know what I'm saying? In Exodus 32 when they did that. See, and even with those with the manna, every time, even we didn't read about the quail's flesh, when they went to complaining, going after their youthful lust, Elohim brought them into judgment. And y'all sent serpents among them.